welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your co-host Reynoso, here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
A major shout out to the city of Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
To California, who showed us nothing but love when the Give and Go went and visited Los Angeles, went and visited LA Galaxy to go see a match there in person, to experience a game. And we got so much support from people that watch the show, people that listen to the show, people that watch our reels and our shorts. So many people came up to us and just showed us love, man. And I just want to give a major shout out and thank you to Christina and Nelson from LA Galaxy, Eli Lesser, who featured on the podcast, Urban Pitch, who showed us a great time on their pod, as well as afterwards just going out and having a great time. Overall, LA was incredible, and I just want to show some appreciation towards them and the city because it was awesome, man. It was awesome to see the impact that having this podcast has had, shooting here in our living rooms and going as far as to showing up on fucking Spotify and being in their studio shooting an episode. Overall, an amazing experience. I just want to say thank you.
Ditto to all the sentiments that you just laid out, brother. Big shout out to every single component, person, organization that you just labeled. LA was awesome, man. It was a really nice trip, and we met so many great people out there who share the same love of football that we do. So it was absolutely amazing to be able to have that interaction, man. Truly amazing. But, you know, it's nice to be back home.
It is.
It's really nice to be back home, you know. Going on a big trip like that can get a little distracting, but I didn't realize how much I missed, you know, our little home studio here, man.
Yes.
It's been 2 weeks, but now finally we get to talk footy.
Finally.
Let's talk football, bro, because it really does feel like it has been ages since we've had a traditional episode. So listeners out there, let's strap in because we got a lot to talk about, man.
We have a lot. I mean, I'm so curious to know your reaction about Joao, Felix going to Atletico Madrid. I'm so curious to talk about Champions League, Kolo Muani going to PSG,
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham continuing on his show, Copa Libertadores, Ansu Fati to Brighton. There's so much to look forward to in this episode. There's so much to anticipate. But where do you want to lead us first? Where do you want to take us?
So before we get into any of the matches, I actually want to throw some numbers at you, bro. I've been doing some of my own research lately because I've been trying to quantify a sentiment that I've been noticing in viewers at home. I think it's a sentiment that you'd be familiar with if you're an avid listener of this podcast. So in La Liga, only 7 clubs purchased a player that was worth $10 million or more. Only 7 clubs. And I'm also including any sort of deal that made a loan move permanent. So, for example, Antoine Griezmann was actually on loan last year at Atletico, but this past summer we made the deal permanent and we ended up paying Barcelona $20 million for him, right? So I'm also including that. Only 7 clubs in La Liga managed to buy a player that was worth $10 million or more. That means 13 clubs. If they purchased anybody at all, they were not worth more than $10 million. Now, obviously, the Premier League is a monster of its own, so I'm not even going to look at that. Let's go to Serie, Italy.
Okay. Yeah, how'd they do?
14 clubs managed to buy a player that was worth $10 million or more in Italy.
Oh, wow.
Literally double the amount of teams have that much purchasing power over their exact same counterparts in Spain. And, you know, what I meant by the sentiment that I'd been feeling for a while is I think La Liga is on some sort of decline. Now, I want to be very clear here, too. The football played in Spain is phenomenal. It's immaculate. It still is top 3 leagues in the world, and there's no question about that. But it's one thing that I've noticed over the last couple of years, though, is that I think football in Spain it's just losing a little bit of something. And overall, my conclusion at looking at these numbers and also just the eye test on what I see on a weekly basis in La Liga and in Serie A is that there are more coveted talent in Italy than in Spain right now. Madrid, I would say, is probably like that only exception, and then you can also include in Barcelona. But overall, I think the wealth of talent is way more distributed and dispersed in Italy. And not only that, but Italy actually just replaced the Bundesliga for the 3rd best league in Europe this year. Coefficient-wise?
Wow.
Yeah. So Germany, the Bundesliga is now in 4th position.
Yeah.
Italy has now moved their way up to that 3rd place position. Spain's still in 2nd. But my point is that I think over the next couple of years, Italy, if not already, is going to be right on par with Spain. I think the Prem is, they're going to keep going up and up and up all the way to the moon, bro. But Spain and Italy, I think, are going to be battling it out for that second place spot. And I think it's because, for some reason, bro, the economy, the footballing economy in Italy it's just better. It's more right now. And, just that old adage of if money's moving, it's, good for you economically. And I think that's what's happening in Italy because I don't understand why there isn't as much purchasing power in Spain anymore. I really don't understand it. But 14 clubs versus 7. That's an enormous difference. A mid-table team in Italy is able to buy a $15 million player, and their La Liga counterpart, the 10th, 11th place position team, can't.
Yeah.
They're not doing that. So right now, I think there's actually more talent going in and also out of Italy than in Spain. Mm-hmm. So I think it's actually it's coming to be like a really interesting battle between the two leagues. Who's going to be on top? Either way, though, they both play incredible football. And like I said, when I mean by Spain declining, I just mean declining from the summit of Barcelona and Real Madrid in the mid-2010s, which was one of the highest summits that any club has ever reached. So that's what I mean by declining. But nonetheless, though, if you're a fan of Italian football, bro, you got to be really excited because there's so much talent. There's so many good players just in pretty much every single team from like first all the way to like 14th, 15th place, bro. There's at least something to, acknowledge or to be really amazed about, at least one player. So I think it's really cool what Italy's able to do. And it's really interesting because it's that ebb and flow of leagues going up and down, going through the peaks and crevices of the success just through time, bro, because Italy for the longest time, bro, between like 2010, basically after Inter Milan won the Champions League with Jose Mourinho, basically right after that, Spain took over and Italy took the back seat for the past 12 years, man. And so now finally Italy's back. I mean, dude, I remember during Juve's big dominance, both Milan clubs, Roma, Lazio, dude, they couldn't buy anybody. They were struggling with debt. They just couldn't figure it out. They weren't moving money. But now all of a sudden, dude, look at Milan's transfer window this past year. Oh my God, man. They completely upgraded in every single position out on that pitch. And you can say the same thing about Inter Milan. Inter Milan getting, Marcos Thuram, right? An incredible player from Borussia Mönchengladbach. What a pick that is. But you could go down the list. Napoli just won the Scudetto, but they managed to get some really decent reinforcements this year. And I'm just not really seeing that same one-to-one comparison when I look in Spain. So again, if you're a really big fan of Italian football, I think this is going to be an exciting next 5 years because I just think the talent's going to get better and the hype for it's going to get even bigger too, bro. So yeah, I mean, the overall conclusion here is I'm still going to be watching Spanish soccer for sure. But dude, I think I'm going to start consuming more Italian football, man. It just gets me excited. I already have, and we'll get into that later. But I think Italian football is on a really cool rise right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I saw a statistic that said, that exposed how much Barcelona has actually spent. They've only truly bought one player this offseason because the rest have been free transfers and guys like Ilkay Gundogan and then loan deals. But they only spent like $5 million, I think, or it's a very low number on one player, so much so that it's the least they've spent in a transfer window in over 20 years, bro. It's ridiculous what Barca has gone through themselves financially, but the criticism I'm hearing all around from frustrated Madrid fans, frustrated Barca fans, frustrated Atletico Madrid fans when it comes to the freedom to buy and purchase players is a criticism aligned with the ownership group of La Liga. I don't know the specifics. I just know that the way they manage the situation over there economically, it's essentially their own fault. They're shooting themselves in their own fucking foot. And I don't know what's going on behind the scenes to make that happen, but it's the ownership group of La Liga that's been getting so much criticism lately. I mean, they're seeing these leagues just fly past them when at one point La Liga was the league that was at the very top and controlling the European landscape. It's crazy how much that's changed, and I think a transfer that represents the pure essence of that, the pure insanity of how crazy the gap is being created, not between Spain and Italy, but between Spain and the Premier League, is the transfer of a guy like Ansu Fati going over to Brighton. This in of itself is one that absolutely shocked the world. Could be considered one of the craziest transfers in terms of name value that we've seen in football, because to see a team like Brighton, which at the end of the day is a small club, when you look at it in the grand scheme of their position in English football, They're achieving amazing things, but they're a small club luring in a massive, massive talent, a kid that was destined to be the next great for Barcelona. That just to have that name attached to his name, Ansu Fati, Barcelona was 1-1. He's now going over to Brighton on a loan deal, but it's ridiculous to see just the magnitude of the effect that the Premier League has had in terms of the overall impact they've had on the transfer window and how other players themselves, such as Ansu Fati, want to go play in that league because at the end of the day, it is the most elite league in the world. And if you want to continue to develop your skills and grow your talents, it's obvious. You got to go to England, man.
Dang, you're right. This transfer is double-edged because one side of this is Barcelona don't have the money to pay everybody that they have. So they're looking for any outs, essentially, right? If they can find a suitor who's willing to pay a player's wages, they're probably going to take the deal. And that's the economic downturn that's happening right now in Spain, bro. It's not good. And like you said, I don't know what the pitfalls are, why there's like walls that these clubs just can't get past on, why they're not successful financially or economically. I don't understand it. And, maybe people that do know the nuances. I would love to, be educated on that. But the other edge of this is that, yes, Barcelona don't have the money anymore, but now Brighton get a player who has that Barcelona name attached to him. So not only are they going to get a very talented player in Ansu Fati, but dude, I guarantee you, Barcelona fans who really liked Ansu Fati, they're watching Brighton games now because they want to see how he does. And not only that, they're going to be entertained by the football that Brighton plays and just the overall level that the Premier League has on display.
Yeah, I think this Ansu Fati case is really interesting because it makes me wonder something, bro. And I'm going to propose this to you because I'm curious to know if what I'm about to present to you had any role in Ansu Fati going to Brighton now and in a way having to take some time out from Barcelona. Ansu Fati came onto the scene when he was like 16 years old, bro. Yeah. I remember when he first got on the score sheet for Barcelona, I was thinking to myself, like, my God, this has to be one of the youngest goal scorers I've ever seen just on a score sheet, man. I remember seeing the name Ansu Fati, a name I'd never seen before, clicking on the profile and seeing that he might have even been 15, bro. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a kid scoring a goal in La Liga for a club as big as Barcelona. And I was curious to see if he could continue that momentum and continue building his brand, growing his game to live up to that potential that Barcelona tags their young players with. And it's been a really interesting ride since, man. One riddled with injuries, with inconsistencies, with him maybe not having the best role within the team to thrive in. A lot of factors can be listed as to why maybe he hasn't thrived the way that people have wanted him to. But my question is, I feel like we see this, man. We see this happen time and time again when a player gets rushed a little too early in these big, big clubs. It's not often that you see a player at 16 or 17 have a really good season and then be able to continue that every single season from then on out. The only people that actually have are, well, the GOATs, the greats, Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland, guys like that. But being labeled, being given those labels, being given that responsibility at such a young age, like how Ansu Fati was, it reminds me of kind of like Odegaard, man. And how he was the youngest, I think, sub or debutant with Real Madrid in their history at one point. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we didn't really see him for like 6 years. He went on a whole escapade, man. The equivalent of being on ayahuasca in the footballing universe, man. He needed to reinvent himself. And it wasn't until his time at Real Sociedad that we actually started to see a little bit more promise. And then he got to Arsenal at like, 22, 23 years old. And then he thrived. I wonder if the same is kind of happening with Ansu Fati right now, where it's just too much of a weight. It's too much of a responsibility to put on a player. The injuries come into hand. The personnel and the players that he has around him has an impact too. But I think overall, I do think this is an impact. This is an effect of putting too much on a player way too early in his career. And thus you see him go to a team like Brighton looking to kind of reset himself, looking to refresh his career and have a new start in hopes that he can become kind of like an Odegaard too, come back to Barcelona a year or two later just as a reimagined player and living up to the potential that he was once built to have.
Yeah, dude, this is honestly like a study in psychology because I actually agree with you. I think two factors come into play: how young you are and how big the club you are attached to at the time.
Yes.
Because if you're 16 and you're playing for Birmingham, that's fine. That's completely fine. You could play every single minute for the entire season, and I don't think there'll be any psychological detriment. But I think when you're at Barcelona, there's going to be some tolls on you mentally, bro. Because you're being asked to output as one of the best players on the continent. Because that's what Barcelona represent themselves as, right? They're the biggest club in the world. So if you play for them, then you have to be one of the best players in your position. And you're 16 getting that opportunity. Even if you do succeed, I do think it takes some sort of mental toll on you, bro. It's tough because you inevitably reach some sort of halting point where you lose a little bit of form maybe, or you get an injury. How then do you come back to any sort of consistency if you've never known what consistency is like? You're a kid. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. But yes, I think the remedy to this is to leave a big club. But to do that, it takes a lot of letting go of pride. You have to let go of your ego as a player, because at that point, you are no longer the best player in your position at Barcelona. Now you're at Brighton, right? And again, even though Brighton's low-key probably playing better football than Barcelona, club-wise, they're so much smaller. But that's why I'm so happy that when I saw that Ansu Fati was going to Brighton, because I was like, oh, well, this is how he fixes himself. Yes. This is how he gets rid of all the ailments that he's gone through at Barcelona, by letting go and just focusing on his career. And I think he's going to be able to do that at Brighton. Even if it doesn't work out that well, at least he knows, okay, there's other things out here other than Barcelona. But it gets scary because, now I'm starting to wonder, and I was thinking about this literally today when I was watching the Barca game. I was like, dude, what's going to happen to Lamine Yamal?
That's exactly.
I get scared already.
I'm worried, bro.
I'm worried.
He's already being called up to the national team, bro.
Yeah.
And the comments I'm seeing from people about him and the role he is expected to play for Barcelona now, I'm like, y'all need to chill, man.
He's the next Ansu Fati. It's just crazy, man.
Relax. Let the kid thrive in his own, in spurts. Let him have his moments, but don't put that pressure so early on. Enjoy it. Have fun. He's a youngin'. He's doing great. But come on, man. Any sort of expectations attached to him, it's unfair in my opinion.
It's so unfair. I remember the most blatant case of this where it just didn't work out. Stefan El-Shaarawy, when he was first called up at 18, 19, at a time for Milan when they were really struggling, they had no choice but to play him. So he played every single game, and they needed him to score to have any sort of relevancy in the league at the time. And so he had all of that weight, and he did it for one good season. He actually did it. But then after that, man, once he started going through a drought, he had no idea how to reset. And low-key, he never really did. No. He found some sort of joy when he moved to Roma, but, I mean, bro, we haven't really... His best years was when he was a teenager at Milan. Yeah. That's not good.
It's not good, man.
It's not good.
And there's a number of cases Michael Owen, I know, has been remarked as a player like that too. The opposite side is always so tempting that I see people go for it, because if Lamine Yamal has a great first year and then continues that consistency,
yeah.
I mean, that's equivalent to what the fuck. That's what Messi
did. That's what
the greats did. Mbappe being able to do it at 17, 18 for Monaco and just not stopping. True. Erling Haaland too. That's the opposite effect. That's why people, I think, put that pressure and expectation, because they want that every single time they have a chance to get it. I just think we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic in our expectations. And I'm excited for Lamine Yamal, but even more excited to see how Ansu Fati pans out at Brighton.
Oh, yeah.
Kolo Muani to PSG. Kolo Muani, a guy that this podcast has been a big fan of for a good 2-3 years, man, with how well he's performed at Eintracht Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, getting the call over now to PSG to join the biggest club in France and join Mbappe. Biggest takeaway from this transfer, in my opinion, is PSG's new approach to how they're handling themselves in the transfer window and what they're trying to build. Because a lot of people have noticed they're signing a lot of French players. Dembele's joining. They got a young star in Barcolo, who had a really good season in the Ligue 1 last year. They're building this whole new brand of mainly French players that they're trying to sign. And it made me wonder, bro, because the more I see it in the transfer window, the more I see these incredible talents come out of France specifically, I asked myself this question. I said, does France have the best talent pool in the world right now? You have a guy like Tchouaméni, 23 years old at Barcelona. Camavinga right next to him as well. You can go Kingsley Coman, who's just chilling, putting up numbers in Germany right now. Kolo Muani, we already mentioned. Saliba, damn near leading Arsenal to the title. Theo Hernandez at AC Milan. Upamecano, Jules Koundé at Barcelona. Kanate at Liverpool. Right. Thuram, you mentioned. Disasi, Boubacar Kamara, playing at Aston Villa right now. Griezmann, if you'd like. Youssef Fofana, who's at Monaco too. These are guys all these guys listed at over $30 million in value, bro. Does France have the best talent pool? Because I do think there's good challengers. Brazil, non-stop ability to generate incredible talent out of their country. Argentina has some amazing stars coming up the ranks as well. I'd say those are the top three, and I'd throw in England as well as the fourth contender. You can also say Spain, perhaps. And then after that, I think it's a little bit more of a drop. Maybe Portugal and Germany come in, I think, as potential contenders.
Yeah,
but I think
it's a drop a little.
I think the top four would be England, Argentina, Brazil, and France.
Yeah.
Yeah?
For sure.
Yeah, you think so?
I completely agree with that. I don't think you can argue that, honestly. I think it'd be really tough to.
Okay.
But, dude, yeah. Every year, when I'm just going through European football and I'll just put on a game, and there's a really good player that I've never seen before, odds are he's probably French. It's literally like that, man.
Lately, it's been like
that.
It's been
like that. Like the Jules Koundé example.
Yeah.
I remember when he hit the scene with Sevilla a couple years ago, I was like, oh, okay, they got a really good center back now. Let's see what he does. French. I'm like, what? Like where did he come from? Dude, why did he start in Spain? Like, yeah. I don't understand it.
I had the same thing with Diaby.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
French too,
he's
bro.
French too, bro. He's French too. That's what I'm saying. I remember when I first saw Marcus Thuram at Gladbach several years ago in the same group stage as Real Madrid. And I was like, oh, Thuram's definitely their best threat offensively, French. And I'm just like, what? Where are these coming from? And we can even go to like second tier, bro.
Yep.
Second tier football. I was watching Sassuolo play Napoli last week. Sassuolo's best attacking midfielder, a guy named Maxime Lopez, French.
Damn, dude. Lopez?
Yeah, Lopez. Yeah, he's French. That's the thing, man. You don't know. You don't know. They could have an Arabic last name. Yeah. They could have like a North African last name. They could have a French last name, a Spanish. Kevin Gamedo, Portuguese last name. He's French. Like, they got everything, man. And I think I'm going to go ahead and say France definitely does have the most talented pool because of that. Because yearly, on a consistent basis, they just have these stars just pop out of nowhere. And I think, obviously, England, Brazil definitely have that too. I think France just have it on a slightly higher rate.
Yeah,
higher rate.
I think the situation that proves my point, because I agree with you completely, is look at the World Cup final, man. Look at the World Cup tournament. I remember in the lead up to the tournament, the talk about France was regarding their injuries. They had so many that impacted their starting lineup. Guys like N'Golo Kante couldn't play. Pogba wasn't there. Benzema technically had a different situation, but he wasn't there either. Just winning the Ballon d'Or the year before, man.
Yeah.
But the thing that proved the point for me was the fact that they were still able to make such a deep run due to the depth that they had, man. Going to the World Cup final and losing in goddamn penalties, man. Yeah. Guys like Kolomuani coming off the bench. Thuram getting minutes. Kingsley Coman as well. All these guys just popped up out of nowhere and showed their technical ability and their prowess on the biggest stage in existence in football. And that to me just said, okay, right now, in this moment, France is the biggest talent pool, because what they're able to do in terms of developing this talent, and I don't know what the fuck they're feeding them, bro, fucking baguettes and cigarettes, it works, dude. It works like no other
combination.
It probably is the fucking key nowadays, man. But it's incredible, because even for like a country like Argentina, I do think they have an incredible ability to develop elite players. I just don't think they develop as many as France. I think that's it. That's it.
Exactly. That's my point. Is I don't think Argentina, Brazil, England are necessarily worse than France. I just think they have less of it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy. But especially when you think about the place where their league stands right now, I think looking at the coefficients, the French league dropped. They dropped like 7th, no?
They dropped. They're out of the top 5.
Yeah.
And I believe the Netherlands have taken 5th position.
Yeah.
Which is great, because when I started my football journey, it was Portugal who was in that 5th spot.
Wow.
They had it for a while. Then France took it. And now they're gone. And now, for the first time, at least that I've been watching football, the Netherlands have cracked the top 5.
Wow.
Which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's actually pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were talking about time football being exciting. I think the Netherlands, honestly, are onto something. I mean, we saw last year in the Europa League and Conference League, like, Dutch football is on a little rise of its own, for sure.
And so since we are kind of just talking about these different European nations, can we quickly just kind of do our Champions League predictions?
Yeah, bro. Who you got winning it, man?
Yeah,
let's go. Let's get in.
I have 2 teams here, and I would have stuck to these 2 teams and been like, it can go either way. I don't know in the situation, but due to a certain move that was canceled in the transfer window last minute, I end up going for one other team.
The other way.
Yes. So the 2 teams I was interested in were Manchester City and Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich acquiring Harry Kane, second best goal scorer in the world, I think. No question.
Yeah.
No question. Right behind Erling Haaland.
Right behind him.
And already making himself at home in Germany. I saw a picture of him drinking beer and shit. He looked great. But in the midfield, I was curious to see what other additions they could get. And when we talk about players that they could acquire in the transfer window, that they could pull away and reel away from, what's considered a smaller club in comparison, a name like Joao Palhinha came up, man.
Yeah.
A player that I mentioned, I've been mentioning my favorite Premier League players recently. He's in that top 5 list, man.
Oh, dude.
Joao Palhinha is one of the funnest, most easy to root for guys out there in football. His passion, his ball recovery ability, his technical ability, everything he brings to the game by far outweighs what Fulham is right now. I'm not even going to lie to you, man.
Yeah.
I think he's an incredible talent and a talent that's worth being in a top 6 side in the world. So when I saw the rumors that he was being linked to Bayern Munich, I was saying, okay, this is it right here. They get Joao Palhinha, man. They have an actual opportunity at getting a Champions League title now. But then they got pulled away. I don't know what the fuck happened. It fell through in the last minute, man.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk about this because I'm actually thinking more about Palhinha himself, bro. Imagine going through what he went through. He went to Germany, signing documents, got his medical done, started taking pictures with the jersey, and then gets the last minute call saying no deal.
Jeez,
isn't that crazy?
That's...
In his mind, he was a Bayern Munich player.
Yeah.
And now that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's really messed up.
It's messed up.
It's really, really messed up. And this goes back to the point that I made, I think, a week ago. The way transfers are done in football I don't think it's right. I think it should be done before the European leagues start, because this all could have been avoided. From Marco Silva at Fulham, and then for Palhinha himself, for Bayern Munich, the club, all of this could have been avoided, I think, if transfers were just done a little bit better.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, this is the reality. But my God, man, I don't even know. I hope he's okay, man. Because, good Lord, going from Fulham to Bayern would have been such a huge jump, and it would have made sense. Dude, as you already said, he is the engine in that Fulham midfield. Without him, Fulham ain't running. They're not going to be operating at even remotely the same level. So it's just crazy that Palhinha couldn't go through. But the reason why is because Fulham couldn't find a replacement.
Yeah.
They were trying to get Scott McTominay. Yeah. They couldn't make a deal there, so they had to deny Bayern Munich instead. So they could keep Palhinha. Which is crazy, though, because low-key, if you're Fulham, hopefully if Palhinha is in his right mind, you need him. Yeah, you need him because without Palhinha, Fulham low-key would be flirting with relegation. Truly, he has that much of an impact. They already don't have Mitrovic, so they really did need Palhinha, or at least a player like him. So, yeah, I just think it's crazy. But the fact that Bayern don't get him, I definitely think does take away some of their ability to be very good in the Champions League, for sure.
I would have loved that addition. And just to kind of go off of your point, I mean, I looked at his age. He's 28 years old now. There's always that risk of getting injured as a player, too. He might not get this opportunity again. And that's being pessimistic, right? Maybe
right,
Maybe he does next year, and it happens, and it's a beautiful thing. He's happy in Germany. Yeah. But for now, to be that close, it's a painful thing, man. It really is.
No, but the Fulham fans are getting on him, though, because after the Bayern debacle, he changed his Instagram profile to a Portuguese shirt instead of a Fulham shirt.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, it gets tough. That's why I'm not a fan of all this. Let's do transfers after the season started, man.
Yeah. Regardless, Bayern, I think, still remains a contender in terms of top 4 ability to get a Champions League trophy. But when it comes to who I see winning this tournament, which was the question you asked me at the very beginning here, it's Manchester City, man.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. I think they are set to defend their title yet again. The team is off to an incredible start already in the Premier League. They're showing no signs of slowing down. And I'm just repeating points I've made time and time again. A tactical genius in Pep Guardiola. Incredible wingers and Jack Grealish. Now Jeremy Doku. Guys like Phil Foden being able to just level up their play every single year. Erling Haaland bagging already 6 goals in the Premier League. Midfielders, Rodri, playing like the best defensive midfielder in the goddamn world. And then in the back, Gvardiol.
Ruben Diaz. John Stones when he's healthy. Kyle Walker. Nathan Ake.
Rico Lewis gets minutes.
Rico, man. They have so much depth, too.
Yes, dude. What I'm seeing from Manchester City right now, I think, is truly the evolution of a dynasty.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen in the Champions League this year. We're seeing the steps that need to be taken to be able to call themselves a dynasty during this era of football. And that's going to be fun to keep up with, man. That's going to be fun to look at because I'm excited to be rooting for Manchester City to achieve that. They're going to breeze by these Spanish teams. They're going to dominate the German ones. And if they face off against another English team, that's where it will get tight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But in the end, I have Manchester City winning the Champions League and Pep Guardiola becoming the Caesar of what is his version of the Roman Empire.
I think Manchester City are going to do something historic this year by getting back-to-back domestic title and Champions League title, which would be ridiculous to see, and I do think it's going to happen.
Whoa.
Right. That'd be insane. You know, we talk about like dynasties of like Madrid and Barcelona being able to do that too. I think Manchester City's will be in that exact same conversation, sitting at the exact same table with the two biggest clubs in the world, in Madrid and Barcelona. I think at the end of this season, City will be right there with them. Just historically, for the rest of time, for history, bro. It's going to be amazing to see. And, you know, we can slightly break it down just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think Madrid's a little too unestablished. They don't have a 9 like Bayern Munich do, right? Barcelona are incomplete. They're an incomplete team right now. They're missing a couple midfielders. Lewandowski's a little bit out of form right now. He's not getting any younger. They lost Dembele. They haven't filled in that hole. They're very incomplete right now. You go over to Germany, I think the only team that can compete with Manchester City is going to be Bayern. And the thing is, as you said, I think Bayern's definitely a top contender for the title. Like, they're going to go for it. And that acquisition of Harry Kane, immense. Because honestly, without Kane, I don't even know if I'd consider him. But now that they do have him, all of a sudden, I think Bayern Munich are incredibly deadly. Because, dude, Kane, if he's on it, he can score against literally anybody. There's almost nobody who can stop him if he's on it. So that alone, I think, can make Bayern Munich a very deadly team in the Champions League. So let's see what Bayern can do this year, because I definitely think they're going to be trying to make amends after having a weird season last year. So Bayern will be interesting to see.
What about a team like Arsenal?
Yeah.
The Prem teams.
The Prem teams. So, unfortunately, Liverpool aren't in there.
No,
That's what really sucks.
They tend to be the best competition for Manchester City.
Exactly. So that's
proudly.
that's what really sucks, man, because I don't really see United and Newcastle being able to really beat them in a two-legged affair. That does happen in the quarterfinal stage. I just don't see that happening over 2 legs. Arsenal could do it. They could. But, you know, especially since it'll be springtime already, what if City already has like a 10-point lead over Arsenal? Yeah. That's going to be a psychological play, and I think at that point City beats Arsenal, right? So Arsenal will have a chance if it's like toe-to-toe in the Prem as well, right? So maybe there's something there. So right now I'd say Arsenal, Bayern Munich definitely can contend. And then if we go over to Italy, Italy gets really interesting, man. Mainly because I haven't watched enough of it over the last 5 years to be able to have a cumulative vantage point on a decision. Because I just, really started getting into it, let's just say 2-3 years ago. Yeah. We saw what they could do last year. I think even though some people might say it was a little bit of a fluke or they got lucky, and they definitely did because they got some easy runs, both Milan and Inter, they have the exact same squads and they've reinforced them. Inter did lose Romelu Lukaku, but they got Marcos Thuram as a replacement. What a replacement, by the way.
They just got Pavard.
They just got Pavard. Lautaro Martinez honestly looks like he's at least at the same level, if not getting a little bit better too. So I think both Inter and AC Milan, their counterparts, have greatly improved their squads. AC Milan looking incredible, bro. And so I think the Italian teams will have something to say. As we saw in the final against Inter Milan, I just don't know if they can truly best Manchester City. So yeah, the conclusion is
PSG.
I don't know if I can, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can really count them as being like a true contender. They've had a lot of influx and outflux of players.
11 players got signed.
Yeah,
11.
They've had a lot, and even last year, bro. Even last year, they had a huge influx of midfielders, and I don't see PSG as an established force to beat Manchester City. They're talented, sure, and they can make a run, but to beat City, you have to be really, really good, bro. And so yeah, I'm with you. I think City is going to repeat and defend their title.
Damn, crazy, man.
Crazy,
to see that happen again. You really gave me a little bit of chills when you said domestic title and Champions League title back to back. I've never seen that,
man.
Like fully like conscious. I know that Barcelona did it during my lifetime, but I wasn't really watching football like that back then. And to see it now in the modern era of the game at the highest level that we've ever seen it at would be a ridiculous achievement, man. Incredible stuff. What do you make of the group of death in the Champions League? Because every year, in every single tournament, World Cup, Europa League, whatever tournament, Liga MX, I don't know, any
whatever
tournament,
you want,
there's always a group of death. But this one stood out to me because I think this might be one of the craziest group of deaths I've ever seen. In terms of like, this one barely even has like a weak link, or rather, they're all at a very similar competitive level.
Yeah.
Whereas most times there's always one team. Even last year, I remember it was Barcelona, Inter Milan, Bayern, but then there was one team that was a fucking, what was it, like a Russian team or
it was
Slavia Prague, I think. But this time, bro, it's Milan, AC Milan, Dortmund, Newcastle, PSG. Rank these teams 1 to 4 for me.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go Dortmund last.
Dude, same.
I'm going Dortmund last.
Dortmund's ass.
Yeah. I just think
No disrespect.
The only thing about Dortmund is, unlike, let's say, a mid-tier European club that finds themselves in a group of death, is that, Dortmund consistently vie for the title in the Bundesliga. Obviously, they're never going to get it, and they don't have the talent to really compete. But, they're in the Bundesliga, a very competitive league, so they'll be able to match up. But
yes, I don't doubt that.
I don't doubt that. But yeah, I think they're going to finish bottom in this group for sure.
Dortmund, we asked the question last year, what do the mental effects of what they went through last year look like the following season? We asked the same question of Arsenal. Arsenal has found a way to stay stable so far. They're good mentally. Dortmund, though, looks like your friend that just lost a few screws up there, man. They look different. They look different this year so far. Tying 2 games in the Bundesliga and only winning 1 out of 3 matches so far. By Dortmund standards, that's not very impressive. Maybe they can pick it back up.
Right.
But the players I'm seeing, the additions I saw them get in the transfer window, just not really impressive, man. I think what we're going to see from Dortmund, especially after losing a star in Jude Bellingham this time around,
that's the problem,
is going to be a much, much weaker team.
But then from here, man, this gets really, really tricky because there's a clash of styles. We have 3 top tier leagues essentially playing against each other. If you compare England, France, and Italy, and they're all like pretty good.
Yeah.
What gets interesting though is, let's say Newcastle's form right now.
Yeah.
Not the best.
No.
Right? So does that come into play against a high-flying Milan team, right? Or does Newcastle find form mid-October and all of a sudden they can go toe-to-toe with a high-flying Milan team? This is where I think it's going to get as finicky as it can, because I think it literally rides on that.
And then what does PSG land? Do we see them as better than both of them, or do we see them as worse or at the same level, man? Because they're still, in my opinion, unpredictable. We don't even know what they are.
Exactly. And only because, in my opinion, Kylian Mbappe is a part of the squad.
Yeah.
Him being on the pitch, I think, always gives that team a chance. Now, maybe in a knockout stage, not so much, right? Because obviously PSG just haven't been able to, win the whole thing. But, in a group stage setting, I think Mbappe can always make a game tight. You add in the likes of, a Dembele or Kolo Muani, who, when they're on it, they're incredibly effective offensively. Then I think PSG is a wild card, because they could effectively bag 2-3 goals against all 3 of these teams. But holistically, I would actually put Milan as the better team than PSG right now. Holistically.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it's fair to say.
With how they started, yeah.
Right. But putting PSG in a third doesn't really make sense. And I'm almost inclined to put Newcastle there only because they don't have the experience.
I'd be down to. I'd be down to, just because of the recency bias.
I think I'm going to.
I'm down.
Yeah.
You can put them third. I'm disappointed in them right now. They're grounded right now.
So they get a third place prediction.
Yeah, dude. Man, I want so much more, and it's still very early.
It's so early.
I don't want people to get carried away, but I'm okay with it right now. They deserve to be put in third.
Yeah.
Milan and PSG, I think, is a very tight race now for first.
I do think so. I can see a 50-50 chance Milan top this group. They're that good, and honestly, I think it would take a really good team to beat them. PSG's a wild card just because of the offensive components that they do have. I could see PSG topping the group, but if I just had to put in a prediction, I'm going Milan first, PSG second.
I think I'm going to agree with you, man.
Yeah.
I think I am. I don't know if I see PSG having the... I mean, even last year, despite how lackluster season might have been, they still had Messi and Neymar. They had experience. Sergio Ramos on the defensive line too. There's a element of experience in the Champions League that does pay off. And this team right now, although it seems very fun and very exciting, kind of like a bit of a Tottenham-like effect with how they're trying to approach this season with a new perspective, a new type of team around Kylian Mbappe. Will it pay off? We don't know yet, but I do see more potential in what AC Milan has formed so far.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're firing on all cylinders right now to start off the season. And PSG, I think they're going to end up getting second. They'll do just enough. They'll get by Dortmund, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they catch Newcastle off guard. I do think that matchup, Newcastle against PSG, is going to be incredible,
bro, dude.
especially when they play at Newcastle.
That's what I'm saying. Dude, all three of the games, Dortmund, PSG, Milan, going to Newcastle is going to be crazy to see.
Dude, Newcastle on the San Siro, man. Oh,
man.
my God.
It's going to be nuts.
Newcastle at Parc des Princes, bro.
Right.
That's weird to think about.
Bizarre, bro.
That's bizarre, man.
And I'm here for it. I am here
I'll
for
tell you,
it.
It's one of the most competitive group of devs I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
At least in terms of the value of the name, probably the one with the heaviest names, the most history behind these teams, bro. Milan, PSG, Dortmund, Newcastle. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how this plays out.
I watched the Barcelona game today against Osasuna, and first off, beautiful crowd, gorgeous crowd in Osasuna, all red, completely packed stadium. Which, by the way, I do want to say, so far the last 4 weeks that La Liga has been going on, man, crowds have been lit. By the way, dude, lit. Cádiz, Osasuna, Atletico, the usual ones for sure, but these smaller clubs, dude, they're packed to the brim, man.
Well, I do want to throw in a big one. Real Madrid just now opened their stadium up fully now for the first time.
Yeah.
So no, to your point, the crowds have been amazing too.
Yeah. We'll get to that moment too. But and I just wonder, because I'd say for the last maybe just after COVID, let's say, La Liga crowds have, in my opinion, not been the best, if you will. There's been some, not as many crowds going to the games like in Getafe, for example, or Alaves. But, dude, I don't know what happened, what's in the air in Spain right now, but people are going to these games, bro. Maybe the Women's World Cup had something to do with it, bro. People are like, hey, let's catch a football game. I don't know, man, but Spain's on a ride right now, and I'm here for it, bro, because the atmospheres are electric. And honestly, I think it's making these home teams at least play a little bit better. I remember in our last episode where we were talking about Spanish football, I had been talking about how right now the teams that play Barcelona have employed a very violent and defensive tactic to facing them. Osasuna tried to ball out, though. They did as much as they could to play their football and attack Barcelona, which I was incredibly grateful for, and I really applauded the way that Osasuna approached this game because from the get-go, they were fearless. They played their football, and dude, they crafted some pretty decent chances. Like the 25th, 30th minute, Aymar, clear shot on goal. Could have taken the lead 1-0 for Osasuna. Fluffed it bad, bro. Really, really bad, man. You know how it is over there. But yeah. Complete miss to take the lead, and it would have been completely deserved too. The reason why I've been wanting a team to go at Barcelona because I want to see how Barcelona react to that. And they showed up. The Barcelona defense were a lot more aggressive in getting the ball back because I think they recognized that Osasuna were here to play. Yeah. So a really good point if you're a Barcelona fan, knowing that, okay, well, you haven't really lost anything. You've lost some players, but the players that are there now are still up for it 100%. Lamine Yamal once again featuring.
How did he play?
He did good. Not any crazy moments like he did in the last game, but he did very, very good. But it goes back to my point when we were talking about Champions League. And it still came out in this game. So Barcelona ended up winning it. Lewandowski sold a cheap penalty. Cheap. The referee was willing to buy it at a low price. So they ended up winning it 2-1. There was a beautiful goal from Chimi Avila, who ended up equalizing it for Osasuna. Beautiful, curling effort outside the box. Went past 3 Barcelona players and then Ter Stegen. A gorgeous goal. Highly recommend seeing the highlight there. But overall, Barcelona are an incomplete team, 100%. When you look at the midfield right now, it's De Jong, Gavi, and Oriol Romeo, who they got from, I believe, Girona, right, for really cheap. Or maybe it was even a free transfer. But I think that alone tells me that, Barcelona, they don't really have the depth right now. They also don't have, I think, the exact players that Xavi would want. Ilkay Gundogan, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the season, he's part of a front three. And I do think it's underutilization of his talents. Every game he's played, he has amazing moments. He turns players. He has amazing through balls. His first touch is world class. The problem is, since he's starting in such an advanced position, he sees less of the ball. And I think that's actually bad. You know, if you really want to create and have offensive opportunities, you need Gundogan touching the ball like every single play, man. It's not happening, though. And it just because of the position that he's playing in. He's still doing a good job personally. Like, he hasn't lost anything over the offseason playing with Manchester City. So that's a really good thing. I think if Xavi can figure out how to utilize Gundogan better, I think Barcelona will have a much, much better time offensively. Because right now, it's still a little bit labored, man. It really is. Lewandowski, you know, he's getting criticized right now. I think they're right. His touches are off, bro.
Damn.
They're just off.
Damn.
Yeah. And again, at least what Barcelona had last year was a star in Dembele when he was healthy. They don't have that anymore, man. And that's why Yamal's getting those minutes. That's why Gundogan is a winger right now. You know,
Rafinha's nowhere to be seen in this?
That's another thing, bro. Rafinha, and we talked about this earlier too. Since the World Cup, Rafinha's been off.
Yeah.
And, dude, he has not found that form either. He came off the bench like in the 80th minute today.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Ferran Torres?
No, I mean, he's there too, but also just out of form.
I heard that he like broke up with his girlfriend in the offseason, that he's like been doing a lot of good, like positive things.
Really?
I've been hearing behind the scenes. Like, he's changing his ways.
Okay.
So maybe if he gets a chance, he'll do better this time around. But you know, I've always been critical of him and how he plays. Yeah. I would like to see him do something positive for once.
And for sure. And that's the whole thing with Barcelona, is that the players they do have, their starting 11 is good, but it's underutilized because they have zero depth.
They also got back the ex-Osasuna player, Abde, the Moroccan.
Abde Eze or whatever? Yeah, Eze,
is he still there? Did he get loaned out? Do you know?
I thought he left, but
I
honestly, I don't know.
Him back out.
I thought they sent him back out. Yeah. And that's the thing. So they have a really good core, but they are missing some really important pieces, bro. And it'll be enough to beat Osasuna, for example, to beat Betis. It'll be enough to remain relevant in La Liga. But, man, I am really curious to see how they're going to do in the Champions League, because I think they could get very exposed if they play against a very talented team. Nonetheless, though, the talent that they do have is very good. I just think Barcelona have a lot of missing pieces, bro. Yeah. But, yeah, a great game from Osasuna, man, but Barcelona just got the edge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then just to finish out, you know, Spain was really excited about Atletico this weekend, man, because, you know, we got a really big 7-0 win against Rayo last week. I was hoping we could continue that against the worst team in the league, Sevilla. And it's a little, I know it's a little messed up, I understand that, but I wanted Sevilla to lose again. Okay. I wanted it bad, and I wanted us to do it, man. Sevilla, have you heard? 3 straight losses. It's their worst start to a season in like 40 years.
Damn, dude. They just got Sergio Ramos, though.
I saw that. That can't help. That can't help, bro. I'm sorry. That's nostalgia. But I'm so pissed, too, because now that game's just going to happen later, right? It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen way later. And we really could have capitalized on it, because I don't know who Sevilla play next, but they're not going to be as good as Atletico unless it's Madrid.
I don't know what's in Atletico right now either, bro. These boys are eating right now. Started off the season with Depay's insane banger, and they haven't slowed down offensively, bro. What was it? 7 goals?
7 goals. Well, yeah. But you know, Rayo gifted 2 of them to us, and they wrapped it up really neat, and they said "Happy Early Christmas," and we took it 100%. But they also, in the last like 10 minutes, they gave up, bro. Like, so I'd say realistically, it's like 3-0. They gave us 4 goals, but I'll take it. But yeah, I just really wanted to beat Sevilla bad. Bad. I wanted to embarrass them and have them start off the season with 0 points after 4 games. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. Honestly, this is a blessing for Sevilla, because now they get to completely regroup with the international break. Completely reset. So they get a new start to the season after the international break, and dude, they need it, bro. And it's crazy when you think about Sevilla, man, because they had a relegation battle last year. And we thought with them winning the Europa League, I at least thought that there'd be avoid that this season. I thought that worst case mid-table for Sevilla because of what they had learned this last year, but not a good start right now for Sevilla. And honestly, I don't really see them fixing it immediately. They're going to have to go on a really good string of games where they play against very weak teams.
Yeah.
If they play any sort of talent, I don't see Sevilla winning. So I'm really curious to see how Sevilla navigate this season, bro. I'm really curious.
Losing Bono, I think Locampos as well is gone from the team too.
Is he really?
I think so. Yeah, I think he got transferred out.
Good.
Yeah, I think they're losing
man.
pieces. Man.
I've been praying for Ocampos to leave this offseason because he needs to go to a better club. Just straight up. He's a type of player that can have a really good impact if the club itself is running well. But with Sevilla, man, it's just not working, right?
Yeah.
And I think Ocampos going to, I don't know where he went. I hope he left.
Fulham.
No way. Let's go, baby. Okay, no, they're going to use him, bro. And they're going to use him well. All right, incredible move by Fulham. Incredible move for Ocampos himself. Thank God, because his career was dying in Sevilla.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to stay in Spain, the last thing that has to be highlighted is the performance that Real Madrid had against Getafe, winning the game, I believe, 2-1, scoring a game winner in the final minute by none other than Starboy Jude Bellingham. I could analyze the game, I could analyze what happened, but rather I want to focus in on Jude Bellingham because his impact so far is the reason that Real Madrid is winning these games. And we already talked about this before, and we posed a concern that for Real Madrid to win these matches on a consistent basis and challenge for the title, they low-key need Jude Bellingham to play at this level. The amazing thing is, he's actually that good, and he can do this consistently without question. Scoring 5 goals in 4 games and scoring winning goals in 2 straight matches. Incredible, the definition of impact. But I want to take this a step further because whenever one of our youngins is doing really good on this podcast, we always make sure to talk our shit. It was established, I think, 2 years ago, where we stood on the teenager debate in terms of top prospects coming up through the ranks. Nominees were Jamal Musiala, Gavi, Pedri, Jude Bellingham. And that's probably it, right? Maybe Florian Wirtz if you want to throw him in there.
For me, it was always just those 4.
Yeah, those 4. And you showed your loyalty and your allegiance to Jamal Musiala, which we'll get into that in a second. But I showed mine towards Jude Bellingham, leaving the Barca boys to fucking dust. Jude's going off, bro. He's going off right now. His impact in the game, his leadership. He's screaming "Vamos" when he scores goals now. The way he's adapting to the culture, to the team, to be able to do what he's doing at 20 years old, at one of, if not the biggest club in terms of name value, is just so remarkable to me, man.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've always kind of see him as being able to achieve just with his career arc, the way that he was able to go to Dortmund and put up insane numbers, be an aggressive box-to-box midfielder and play alongside stars in Erling Haaland, and at the time Jadon Sancho. My God, how much he's fallen off. But at the time, being able to be part of one of the best teams in Germany, going so far as to challenge for the title last year and losing by a goddamn point. Now, who did he lose the title to? Well, it was a game winner from Jamal Musiala, who I deeply, deeply respect, putting up a double-double in the German Bundesliga. I will not criticize that man. I've highlighted my love for him as well. If anything, I like him and Jude more than Gavi and Pedri personally, but I understand other debates.
Okay.
But when one of them is doing really good, I want to focus in on him. And right now, man, it's Jude's world.
Yeah.
It's Jude's world right now. And it's dope to see him on a platform this big, get his recognition, get that love from the fans, and just showcasing that passion week in, week out. Because I saw a video, fan filmed from the stands, in which Jude Bellingham ran to after he scored the game-winning goal.
Okay.
And you get to just see the insane emotion that was expressed by every single Real Madrid player coming over and slapping the fuck out of Jude, bro. Like, dude, that's my boy.
They're swinging,
Let's go
bro.
Swinging, bro. It's a fucking UFC match, bro. He's in a cage. I think at one point he had his head down like this, bro.
He's like, hey, guys.
Guys, fucking relax. But then after that, after the crowd dispersed and the guys go back to their side of the pitch, Jude stays and he hits him with that classic boom and then puts out both arms out wide. That classic Jude Bellingham celebration, and the crowd lost their mind. It was a beautiful clip that really made me just realize, like, holy shit, dude, this is his world and we're just living in it.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. That was so beautifully put, dude. My reaction to that moment, obviously, after all the emotions had dwindled down, I actually collect myself.
It was one of those.
It was one of those. After that, after 20 minutes later, I was like, this, considering the trajectory that Bellingham has put himself on, makes complete sense looking at this, man. We are literally seeing Bellingham evolve in real time. Because think about it, like, you're supposed to grow between the ages of 16 and 23.
Yeah.
We are seeing that with Bellingham. The difference is that he started at an elite level. So now we're seeing him transcend above something that most midfielders don't get to.
No.
And so that's what's crazy about this. And what's even crazier is that if he stays focused, he's going to get even better over the next 2-3 years. Bellingham is on the trajectory to be the best midfielder, like, maybe ever.
I'm talking Ballon d'Ors, bro.
Yeah.
I'm talking that level of quality, man.
Yeah, like he could achieve what maybe like Paul Pogba should have.
Oh, that's
from an accolade perspective, right? So yeah, Bellingham is on one right now, and dude, I want more.
It's crazy.
I want more.
It's crazy, man, to think that where he came from to Birmingham, to start there at 16 years old, and to then jump over to Dortmund, dominate. In the third best league in the world at the time, and then now here in the second best league in La Liga, doing the same damn thing. I want him in the Prem. I want him in the Prem. English player, he's destined to play 3-4 years, man. Just give me that in the Prem. Come join the Liverpoolian project and thrive and be the heir to Steven Gerrard and these incredible midfielders. I want to see him in England, but until then, I'm completely happy seeing him thrive in Spain with fucking Real Madrid, man.
Dude, that's crazy because he could have an entire career at Madrid and go to Liverpool in his prime at 27.
Yes, that's how young he is, bro. 20 years old, man.
Bro.
Talk about a 20-year-old.
Dude, he has this whole life ahead of him.
Yeah. And I think the reason it's more shocking to me is because Jude, I would say this in comparison to Musiala, Gavi, and Pedri, he has a maturity to him that I think is more prominent than the other four players. He seems like, it looks like he's 27.
Yep.
The way he carries himself, the way he is so calm in possession, and the leadership that he provides, he seems like an established player in the way that he brands himself. And so, yes, it's surprising to see that he could play at Real Madrid for 6-7 years and have a whole legacy there, have the jersey retired and everything, and still be able to spend 7 more prominent years somewhere else. His career is going to be so fun to keep up with, akin to that of Erling Haaland, I would say. Yeah. And just where do these guys end up going? What do they end up doing? The decisions they make for their future careers, I think, will be one that actually impacts us, because it's that fun to keep up with.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, this really gives me shades, especially seeing that celebration with all the Madridistas, really gave me shades of like Ronaldo when he first came to Madrid. Like, the amount of hype that was around Cristiano and the fact that he was scoring goals, having an impact on a weekly basis, just like Jude is right now. I'm getting those exact same flavors, those exact same like flashbacks, if you will. And just like Cristiano, he had a whole career at United, then went to have a legacy at Madrid. Bellingham is set up to do the same thing. And dude, low key, Bellingham has already left a legacy at Dortmund.
Yes.
Already. Yes. And he was only there for like 3 years. He's going to do the same thing at Madrid. And wherever else he goes, if he does end up going to the Prem, I think he'd have a legacy there too. So, yeah, Bellingham might be one of the best midfielders over the next decade. And I'm here for that, bro.
I love this. I love the topic of legacies because that's been prominent. That's been a big thing on my mind this past weekend. When I was watching Liverpool versus Aston Villa, Liverpool getting the 3-0 win, Dominic Szoboszlai scoring an amazing goal in the process.
Crazy goal, bro.
I don't even want to talk about the game.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, and I'm almost certain in saying this, Mo Salah's last year.
Okay.
I think this is going to be his last year. And I became aware of that while watching this game. There's a lot of rumors right now with Saudi Arabia still having their window open until the 20th of September.
Aren't they trying?
They're trying, dude. They're trying. And Liverpool's releasing a lot of statements saying they're not interested. But with Saudi Arabia, you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah.
And it just became very clear to me, like, I don't think we see Mo Salah for another year at Liverpool. He's going to have to end up going for that money in Saudi Arabia or having to switch up his career trajectory at one point.
Yeah.
He's going to give us one last season. And that's a very special thing. It's bittersweet, man. But I'm glad I realized this early on because He's got a whole year ahead of him, man. He's got a whole year ahead of him. Already doing really well so far. He's had a few misses here and there. I know you've talked about old man Salah as a funny joke behind the scenes, but
Salah.
he's still doing great, man. Getting an assist in the game today.
He played good today.
He still played great.
Yeah.
I think he has 2 goals, 2 assists in the league so far. Classic Mo Salah. But I do think this is his final year. And I want to put that out there because this is a man that has represented my interest in Liverpool, has represented my fanship in Liverpool from the moment he landed in Liverpool in England, because it was during that time that I became a massive, massive fan of English Premier League football, really. It was 2015 afterwards. I always kept up with it in the past. I was always aware of what was happening, but to watch it as consistent as I watch it now started when Mo Salah came and joined the team. I was already a Liverpool fan. I already established myself as a Liverpool fan by that point. He joins the squad, and we'll never forget what he did in his first season. Just fireworks, man. A fireworks show. Putting up incredible numbers, insane highlights.
I couldn't believe that when he did that. Man. I couldn't believe it. It was like Mahrez when he popped off for Leicester City. He was out of nowhere. Yeah. He was good at Roma, but he reached a completely different level when he moved to Liverpool.
Yeah, man. It's different. Like when you think about like what Erling Haaland did in the Prem, it was almost in a way expected, right? Yeah, because of what he did with Dortmund. With Mo Salah, with how he played at Roma, it was very good, but it wasn't the one-on-one translation of doing what he did in Italy and then going to England and topping that completely did not make sense to me.
Yeah.
But he did it, bro. He did it. And this player has always meant a lot to me. He looks like me.
I was about to say, you know, not only that, but physically you look alike.
I look like Mo Salah, bro. I get it in the comments all the fucking time, man. I need to acknowledge this here now. I need to meet Mo Salah.
Yeah, I need to meet him. You need to get that pic.
I need to get that picture.
You need to get that pic.
I need to get that picture. I need to meet my fucking doppelganger, my bro. Because, bro, so many of these comments are like, didn't know Salah had a side job as like a fucking pundit or something. A YouTube creator, man. It's crazy. It's getting out of hand, bro.
It's getting out of hand. No, but you really do, though. At the LA game, producer Rudd was there with me. You were like 50 yards away. You were just walking, and I was like, that looks like Mo Salah. And it was you. What
is it, though? Is it the hair? Is it the hairline? Is it the eyebrows?
No, when your hair's done right and it's like puffy and fluffy, dude, it's almost the exact same.
Wow.
And especially if you're not like super close.
Yes.
If you're like 10 yards away, dude, you look identical.
Fuck.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Okay.
And not only that, y'all are both like hairy too. You got a lot of arm hair.
Darker,
You also have like a pretty similar beard. Like everything fits. You're most solid doppelganger, bro. You really are, dude.
I gotta meet him, bro. That's my player. That's one player I gotta meet. If there's one player you gotta meet, who is it for you then?
I mean, just from an idol perspective, Griezmann. I'd do anything to meet Griezmann.
What about for jokes? For jokes, I'm thinking about what's the joke here with you. Would it be like the Paul, because you hated on him?
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. Yeah.
A fucking. It's gotta be a player that you shitted on. Like, and there's a number of them.
Yeah, there could be a good list I could come up with. Yeah, I'd have to think about it. Yeah.
But ultimately, man, I do see this as Mo's last year, and I thank him for what he's done. I hope we can bring him just one trophy in any capacity to finish off his career at Liverpool. I really do.
All right, let's stick in England. Want to focus in on Manchester City against Fulham. Not much to talk about here. Ended up being a 5-1 win for Manchester City. Hat-trick from Erling Haaland. Number of hat-tricks actually this weekend.
Yes.
Son getting one. Ferguson for Brighton getting one. Erling Haaland, getting a hat-trick. I think it was like his 7th one, and he's only been for a year.
Jesus.
Pretty crazy. But yeah, I want to focus in on Doku. He made his full debut, started the match, no Jack Grealish available, and, it was against Fulham, so I think Manchester City were okay in introducing Doku like this. Incredible pace. Extremely explosive over small distances. So if you have a defender right tight on Doku, he can get past you in a flash, bro. He's a little raw, though. But I think if you'd see Doku play in France, you're not surprised by that. I'm really curious to see what Doku's potential can be. Right now, I don't see him as much of a passer. I don't really know if he's effective when it comes to clinical decision-making. But he's good. He's very good, and I think he can be a really good rotational piece for Manchester City. But if you're expecting him to get assists or even goals, I would be very patient with him. It might low-key be like a Jack Grealish thing, where it takes him a whole year, right? A whole year, maybe next season, we actually see Doku realize in a Manchester City shirt. I definitely think we'll see him, though, this season, and he can put in some good minutes. But he's a little raw for sure. Overall, though, Manchester City put in a crazy performance once again. Fulham tried. I'd say they had a good first half, maybe. But after that, they just really couldn't compete. And we mentioned it before. We saw Palhinha make a crazy impact for Fulham last week against Arsenal. This week, without Palhinha, man, it was night and day the difference, bro. Night and day the difference. Without Palhinha, man, I don't know if Fulham can compete, you know? So it's
it makes sense why they needed a replacement for him.
Yeah.
To go to Bayern, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Like, just someone to come in and be somewhat formidable.
Exactly. A cool little thing, though, just because it doesn't really get talked about. There's 4 CONCACAF starters for Fulham, right? Anthony Robinson, Tim Ream, the captain, Raul Jimenez, a nice little USA-Mexico combination, and then Bobby De Cordova-Reid.
Jamaica.
4 CONCACAF starters. Pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah,
if you really think about it, honestly, anywhere in Europe, that would be crazy to see.
Yeah.
So really cool that Fulham's employing CONCACAF players. Jimenez himself, I think had a great game, honestly.
I was going to say, I was pleasantly surprised with how he played this game.
So much so that I really do hope that Lozano somehow finds a way to get him into Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not now. Maybe it's soon, though. And maybe it's not. I don't even know what the role would be. Is it starting? If it's not, we can get into that later. But I do hope that Jimenez just remains in the conversation as a starting striker for Mexico. I just want to put that out there because
there's enough there to be able to pry and test out with it. That's what I took away from that performance.
Exactly. So yeah, I thought Jimenez actually had a great game. Against a very, very tough team. So yeah, City Fulham 5-1.
My biggest takeaway from that was actually more focused in on Haaland himself. Did you see his interview on Impulsive, bro? Logan Paul's podcast.
Dude, I loved how insightful it was from the Haaland's perspective.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Crazy.
One, the biggest things I took away is I guess it makes sense seeing the way that he approaches the game and the success he's had so far, but he genuinely is so keyed in and focused, dude. Which says a lot, bro. It's very important. We're talking about, we've seen stars come and go. Ronaldinho, Giovanni Dos Santos, Maradona even. Yeah. Guys who have been, have had their talents slightly skewed because of their love and passion for partying or for the things outside of football. To see a guy like Erling Haaland get asked that basically straight up, they're like, do you like to go clubbing? Like, what's it like? Like, do you go partying? He basically showed zero interest, bro.
He was like, hell no. He wasn't like, no, I don't really. He was like, no.
Yeah. Like, even in his time off, he just doesn't have an interest in it. Yeah. He seems so focused on what he wants to do. His relationship with his father stood out to me, and how all he wants to do is just make him proud. I was like, damn, Erling, you really do have like some very good core values and motivations that are going to keep him motivated and disciplined and striving for greatness. Yeah. And it's those same things that I think will end up benefiting him and have him, do things that will put him in that conversation of, potentially GOAT territory at one point in his career, man. Like, if he continues at where he's at now mentally, he's going to end up being one of the greatest players we've ever seen on the pitch by the time he's 30, dude.
Yes, dude. That was my biggest takeaway from that interview when he highlighted the discipline that he approaches his profession. I was like, oh, okay. He can reach GOAT status in his position because of how he approaches it, man. Like, he doesn't eat anything outside of his diet.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, 10 months out of the year, he is keyed in, locked in, man. And he, like, the moment he was talking about, like, how he sleeps, like, he sleeps, like, 9 to 10 hours, and there's no exceptions.
No.
He has to go to bed at a certain time. He wakes up at a certain time. He makes sure it's like pitch black. He was talking about how he doesn't have blue light.
Yes.
Blue light for 3 hours before he goes to bed. Yeah. That's insane. Every day he's putting on those blue light glasses at 7 p.m. or whatever through discipline. Yeah. And I'm like, my God, Erling, like good shit, bro. Like, bro, really like, good
that's a
shit.
Gem of a signing right
there.
Yeah, you're happy if you're a Manchester City fan seeing someone like that put on your jersey and represent you, dude. I was thinking about it, dude, like, because you mentioned 10 months out of the year, he's going full on focus, discipline like no other, no other human being. But then there's 2 months where he's technically off, right? His off months. And I was thinking, bro, even his off months are better than my best months. That's insane, dude. With how little he changes his diet. He mentioned that he likes to have pizza every now and then.
Once a week when he's off.
Right?
That means you have pizza 4 times a year. Good Lord.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts, but it's what it takes to be at that level. And overall, I liked the interview, man. I really did. And it's crazy that they were able to sign him to Prime and be able to create that partnership. But he's just an insane talent, bro. And I want to see the same interview happen, but with Mbappe. I want to see Mbappe talk.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. I want to see him talk. I want to hear how he thinks. That would be
cool.
Bro. I think he's got a little bit more of a... Because Erling Haaland seems to me just very like a robotic mentality, bro. And I don't know what player can compare to that. Mbappe gives me like a Kobe vibe.
Yeah.
I could see him just kind of being on a more personal level with the game. Yeah. What he wants to do and what he wants to achieve and having different motivations for why he is the way that he is, but still being able to provide the same level of greatness as his counterpart in Erling Haaland. 2 different minds, same result. I want to see the interview, bro. That's got to be next.
Damn, man, that would be amazing to see. Yeah, that'd be crazy. Maybe we start doing that. Maybe we get Mbappe on, man.
If we got Mbappe, bro.
Jeez,
man.
I remember seeing you in Monaco, bro. I was trying to tell everybody, hey, Mbappe.
What are your thoughts on Nicolas Jackson, Chelsea player?
Nico Jackson.
After seeing him have a few appearances with Chelsea now in the Prem, what are your thoughts on him?
I think he's good. Revelation, I don't think anything close to that. It just gets weird. He had a great season last year with Villarreal. A really, really good season. But, like, even Enzo Fernandez, even Moises Caicedo have weird spells of just bad form at Chelsea. And I think that can be said about any Chelsea player. I think Jackson is going to be a little consistent this season. He's already been a little bit inconsistent. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would just have normal expectations about Jackson. Maybe he scores 10-ish goals throughout the entire season. I would actually call that a success, honestly. I'm not expecting much from him, but I'm also expecting a little bit more than 0, if that makes sense. So, I'm taking a very neutral approach when it comes to Jackson's performances, especially because, dude, he barely just hit the scene with Villarreal last year. Yeah, he's very, very young and very fresh to the professional scene of football.
Yeah, I think he's just being talked about a lot. He had a stinker against Nottingham Forest. It happens when you're in that position. Sometimes you have a game where just 1, 2, 3, 4 clear chances just don't go your way.
Right.
I was watching the game in Spanish, bro. They were feeling for Nicolas Jackson. With every miss, it was just sighs like, otra vez. Ay, pobre Nico. Oh, no, Nico. Lo que hace. ¿Qué es esto de Nico Jackson? Oh, my. Just a compilation of wallows from the commentators. But you could see it in Nico himself, man. He was frustrated this game. Things weren't landing right for him. And he had one incredibly clear-cut chance that he just absolutely whiffed. 1 goal out of 4 expected goals if you go by that stat, which is pretty nuts. I know it's easy to discredit that stat, but I do think
that's bad, though.
1 out of 4, it's nuts, bro. How much
bad.
He's generated, but hasn't been able to ultimately finish.
Here's the thing. Jackson has never led a line. When he was at Villarreal, he was secondary to Gerard Moreno and low-key even Samuel Chukwueze, right? Jackson was the 3rd-string striker, not from like a bench perspective, but as far as importance. Chelsea, he's already being asked to maybe not be the main guy, but he's asked to be like top 2. And you can't do that to a player who's never had that opportunity. So I expect this from Jackson. I'm not surprised when I see this because he's never performed at a consistent level in his career. So that's what I'm saying. Have very normal expectations for Jackson because he has not proven himself to be a consistent scorer.
Yeah. It's just tough, though. With how much they spent, I wonder how Pochettino's going to approach this. A player goes cold for 1 game. He's got 7 replacements waiting in the bench. Does he instill that kid with that trust, knowing that at the end of the day, his max potential is 10 goals out of the season? Or does he put someone else in his position that might be able to provide a little bit more prominence? I'm interested to see how Pochettino reacts to this performance specifically from Nico Jackson because it did stand out to me how wasteful he was in this match. But I am aware that he is good. He's got talent. And it will come in time. I just wonder if he's going to be given that time.
Man, okay, that's true. If I was Poach, man, I would be experimenting every week. I'd be trying different formations, different personnel, who works better with who, and he should be doing this in training. Like, I'd be very surprised if he just sticks to the same 11 every week, even if, for example, a player like Mudryk, right, has not proven himself whatsoever at Chelsea. No. Not proven himself at all. But can he work maybe with a specific left back, right? Is there some sort of combination that can actually maximize one of your players? Chelsea have way too many options, and I think that's ultimately the problem. So I'd actually be disappointed if Jackson's always starting. He needs to be in rotation. I don't think it'd be wise to always start him. There's got to be some sort of movement personnel-wise from Pochettino. So, yeah, if Jackson keeps starting, then I think Pochettino's making a mistake.
Nottingham Forest get the win in this match, 1-0 away from home.
Actually, wait a second. Who got Brennan Johnson?
Tottenham.
Tottenham got Brennan Johnson.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
I was going to go Tottenham.
Great signing.
Tots, man. Tater Tottenham. Oh, man. Great signing, dude.
Great signing, man.
To pair alongside a signing I highlighted in the offseason as one of my favorites, James Phil Coutinho 2016 Madison, bro. This dude is playing incredible football.
He is.
Akin to what Coutinho did in 2016. I was watching him, bro. I was like, bro, he looks and plays a very similar style of football as Coutinho when he was in Liverpool and he had that insane season where he had like 12 goals and 9 assists or some shit. Yeah. Playing in between the lines, facilitating the ball, turning players around, and having an insane arsenal of finishes. He can score from outside the box. He can score in the box. He can score with his head. He can score a volley. It doesn't matter. Yeah. James Madison has fit like a glove for this Postecoglou Tottenham side, and I am loving every second of it, dude. Yeah. Killing Burnley in the process, 5-2, Heung-min Son hat trick, the whole team vibing, dude, vibing. And now they get Brennan Johnson to add to the equation.
Oh my God, yeah. You put it like that. That's insane.
I'm loving this shit, man.
What I love about Madison is that he's a true 10. And that's a dying breed in today's game. But if used correctly, they can be unstoppable at times. And Madison's in the form of his life, operating right in between a midfield and the front line of Tottenham, but he's doing it with so much joy, smile on his face, but he has the talent and the effectivity to constantly produce something dangerous. And that's why Madison's so fun to watch, and that's why Coutinho was so good for Liverpool, because when Coutinho was in his prime, he was a creative 10, truly. Madison is exactly that, and any player who prioritizes flair on the ball, I always promote, even if they have a bad game or even if they're, not helping the team with defense. I don't care, man. Like, don't let Madison defend. Just have him have one thing on his mind, and that's somehow attack the opponent, because that's how you use a true 10. And I'm so glad that Madison's actually finding so much joy with this Tottenham side.
Yeah, dude, Tottenham in the top 3, I think, of the Prem right now. With the way they started the season. Really fun, free-flowing football. And Burnley, on the other hand, disappointing to start. What many people would thought would end up being the best team out of the teams that just got recently promoted. Yeah. I think they've started off with 3 straight losses.
What?
They lost to Man City. Lost to Tottenham.
They've had a rough schedule though.
Yes,
they've had a really rough schedule. They did. Yeah, they did lose to Manchester City and now Tottenham.
Yeah, last place in the Prem right now.
God. That's just unfortunate, though. I don't know if I'm going to take that. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, for example.
11 goals conceded?
It's 11 goals conceded, for sure, sure.
What about losing 3-1 to Aston Villa?
Well, I see Villa as a very good team, though.
At home?
I see it as a good team.
At home?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. I'm not surprised by any of the results. If I was a bookmaker, I'd have Burnley losing all 3 of those.
Yes.
All 3 of them.
Yes.
And no question.
Yes.
So I think Burnley, honestly, they had some good moments against Tottenham, but that was literally it, just moments. The overall game was completely managed and dominated by Tottenham. I wouldn't be worried yet if I'm Burnley, because even against Manchester City, I thought I saw good things. Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't be worried just yet.
Okay.
Just yet.
It's a slow burn league. Hey, they play Nottingham Forest next.
That's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big one. Although Nottingham's actually played pretty well so far.
Nottingham,
yeah,
man. I'm loving Nottingham.
No Brennan Johnson, though, is going to be a big impact just for the whole season for Nottingham.
Arsenal, Manchester United.
Caught this. I caught the whole game on this one.
Shit. Let me hear what you thought then.
Well, let's just go to the big moment. Declan Rice getting his first goal in Arsenal colors at the Emirates in London, the game winner in stoppage time, brings it down beautifully. Yeah. A really looping ball. Yeah, he stunned the ball. He stunned it. And honestly, I don't think the players expected him to do that because he had a lot of time and space. Hits it as hard as he can, gets a nice little deflection off of Johnny Evans, goes past Andre Onana, pure ecstasy for Arsenal, and a much needed but also deserved win at the end of the day. I thought United were competitive, but ultimately definitely the second best side on the pitch today. Arsenal completely deserved this win. I thought Arsenal played great, man. I thought they played very, very well. We saw the return of Gabriel Jesus off the bench.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
And it was actually great to see because he had an immediate impact on the ball. We talked about it before the start of the season. If Arsenal really want to be serious about going for the title, they need a healthy Gabriel Jesus. God bless Eddie Nketiah. He's been great this year, but he's just no Jesus. He's just not. And he won't be this season. So to see Jesus get minutes and already look pretty good, if he starts, man, I can see Arsenal getting back into that form that they were able to find last season. But that's kind of my point here. Arsenal's biggest thing, and we saw it last year, and we see it this year too, they go in offensive flurries.
Yeah, man.
Where they'll have a 10-minute spell where they are just bombing the opponent's box, whether it's Martinelli, Trossard off the bench, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Vieira off the bench, and now Jesus and Nketiah. They go through 10-minute spells where it's just nonstop. And they had that today against Manchester United in the first 20 minutes of the game, but they didn't capitalize. And actually what happened instead, Rashford goes on a transition run, beautiful curling goal, and they end up taking the lead 1-0. Obviously, Odegaard gets it immediately back 1-1.
Fire goal.
But the only problem, I think, with Arsenal is that if they don't take advantage during their offensive flurries, they go a little cold in between those moments because for as much pace as Arsenal have, they're not really known for their transition. They're not known to be that dead. They're not. Yeah, they're not dead. They're not known to be a deadly counterattacking team, and that's okay because in their flurries, bro, they're unstoppable. But they need Jesus. That's my whole point. Is that if Gabriel Jesus, let's just say, was healthy and had started this game, I think they would have gotten 2 goals early on, and that would have avoided all of the drama to get the 3 points at the end of the day. And again. Without Jesus, I just don't see Arsenal doing it. I just don't.
And what did we see Jesus do today? He scored on the counter.
Huh?
The third goal, he scored it, no?
Oh, there was a third goal.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
There was a third goal. Completely forgot. My bad.
You're good.
My bad. Reset.
Yeah, I was tripping. I was like, did I fucking...
No, you're right. You're right.
He scored on the fucking counter.
Completely forgot. Yeah.
But the game was dead. It was a different type of context around the counter attack.
Yeah.
But still, what we just criticized about Arsenal not being able to really fully have, Jesus was the one to actually be able to pull it off with this team when he was given that opportunity. And it was beautiful, too.
Exactly. And the thing is, Jesus is on the pitch to finish. That's his number one job, right? Sacco, Martinelli, their job is to penetrate, to get past players one-on-one, to facilitate, to distribute. But Jesus is there to score. And that's why ultimately, even though it's so obvious, he has to be on the pitch to maximize Arsenal's offensive effectiveness. And without him, in tight games, Arsenal may or may not score, right? But I think with him, their chances greatly increase. And they're going to need that if you have Liverpool and Manchester City playing at the rate that they're playing right now.
Tottenham.
And low-key. And Tottenham. No, yeah, absolutely.
Top 4, man.
And Tottenham, bro.
Yeah, I agree. But to me, it did kind of stun me how yet again, dude, Arsenal did this like 4 times last season. Like insane, drama-filled endings to their matches that ended up seeing them win 3 points. I remember last year at the Emirates, Reece Nelson scoring a game winner outside the box to give them a late victory. This is almost becoming like a custom, like a thing that's almost expected out of Arsenal. They're going to have 3 or 4 matches throughout an entire season where it comes down really, really close, but they end up pulling some really, really clutch goals. And it fascinates me, man, because I don't think I've seen another team be able to do it as often as they have.
Yeah.
And to do it again this time around, knowing what happened last season and how it ended, I mean, they've got that fight in them. They got that passion and care for the title race that I think will end up fueling them in the hopes of having a shot at getting to the title this time around. I just do wonder about the technical aspects of Gabriel Jesus, his relationship with the team, his dynamic, and then what other players step up, Martinelli and Saka, how they play this entire season. Yeah. Defensively, I do think they are a little susceptible at times too. Yeah. But all in all, it's been very impressive so far what we've seen from Arsenal. To quickly highlight the other side of Manchester United, all I can say about them is that yet again, they see themselves starting off a season very slow.
Yeah, man.
And it's got to be frustrating for a Manchester United fan because every season they go into it with high hopes, wanting to compete and challenge for the title, and then you see yourself drawing games, losing some matches. You get a win here or there, but not playing convincing football. I think they'll pick it up later on throughout the season, but this is why I didn't have them in the top 4 personally. Yeah. Manchester United was because of this inconsistency throughout an entire 38-game season that I see them time and time again fall into. And I'm getting questionable now with Erik ten Hag and his tactics and how he sets this team up because it's becoming a little too predictable.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed with Man U's start to the season. Their whole qualm for the last 5 years is we need a manager. We need a tactical genius who can lead us for 5-6 years like a Jurgen Klopp, right? And Ten Hag was supposed to be that guy. He got Champions League football last year in his first year, right? And in a year that he didn't really have much time to develop the team, and he had to do it in real time throughout the season. So I thought that round 2, Erik ten Hag, we'd see a much more established Man United team. Not from like a talent perspective, because I think they're still missing some pieces, but at least just from like an insurance perspective to know that they can beat pretty much anybody, at least be competitive. But what I saw today was the United team that we've seen for the last 4 or 5 years, pre-Ten Hag. And I'm just like, okay, then
what's changed?
Dude, nothing. Dude, for 60, 70 minutes on this game, they were literally just reacting to what Arsenal was doing. Arsenal played football today. United just used the talents of Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
That's it. Pathetic from United, honestly. Yeah. Lucky to even be 1-1 that late in the game. So yeah, that's my take on United.
Absolutely.
They have the talent to reel it back as they usually do, and they might. But I'm just overall still disappointed because they should be so much further along.
Yeah.
And they're just not. Kai Havertz. I've been hearing so much shit about this guy, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's crazy how much like discourse he creates.
God
damn, dude.
Is it good? Yeah. And we talked about it before the season even started. We were like, Kai Havertz is an anomaly. Is he good? Is he not? Blah blah blah. You had that crazy comment where he was like, he could be blank as a position player. But one of my takeaways going into the season was I thought that Arteta could actually find his position. Thing is, I actually think he has. I think Kai Havertz is a central midfielder. Here's the problem. I don't know if Kai Havertz has fully accepted that because he finds himself in the most opportune situations in the box, but he has no finishing to back it up. Zero. You see the chance today where he was basically wide open, one-on-one with Onana at that point. He had to shoot it quick, sure, but dude, hit the ball.
You're a professional
footballer, and he whiffed it, bro, bad, really bad. To the point where I think Havertz low-key has the yips.
Yeah.
I think truly he has forgotten how to shoot the ball.
Damn, dude, Markel Fultz
of football. 100%. I don't think he knows how to shoot anymore.
Yeah, man.
And it's pretty crazy to think about, but here's the upside. On the ball, outside of the box, in the middle of the pitch, he's really good. We knew that going into this, at least I did. We did, right? In the sense that Kai Havertz has immense talent on the ball. His control is incredibly tight, and he makes good decisions in the midfield. So if Kai Havertz can accept the idea that he's a central midfielder and needs to stay behind and facilitate that way, then I think he could actually have a really, really good career. But no longer do I see Kai Havertz as even a remote offensive threat.
That's gone.
And the thing is, I think him and Arteta need to have a talk and be like, don't put me, Kai Havertz saying this, don't put me in situations where I'm in the box. Because I can't score, Arteta. I can't. Just let me pass, let me facilitate from a midfield position, and I actually think it would work. because he is shown to be still very, even today, he was actually good in midfield. Obviously, offensively not, but that's the thing. I'm not giving up on Havertz yet, but it has to be a complete change in identity, and that's tough to do. I understand.
Yeah, did you see the quote that Arteta had to say about him? Because I think he was asked about him in regards to this, and Arteta actually had a conversation with Havertz that he reported over to the media.
Whoa!
And it's crazy.
Today?
Fabrizio Romano posted this today after the match.
What did he say?
Arteta, this is quoting him. I said to Havertz, things are hard at the beginning. When I met my wife, at the beginning, it was hard to conquer her. It was hard. I had to try and message her and go and go. And at the end, when she says, yes, we can be together, it's beautiful.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Arteta's basically saying, just keep believing in yourself.
Right.
Which I don't think is what you want, though, bro. I think there should be a clause. There should be some sort of locker room punishment. Like, if you every time you shoot the ball, you buy the whole team beer. Or like some shit like that. There's got to be like a locker room type of punishment where the less you shoot and the more assists you get, the bigger incentive.
Right. Yeah. I legitimately, if I was Arteta, I would go to Kai and I'd be like, don't get in the box.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Stay outside. If you see a shot from 20 yards, all right, go for it. Don't get in the box. It's not working. Let someone else get there, and you just use your talents on the... Yeah, so you're right, yeah. I don't know, yeah, don't believe in yourself, but, like, believe in yourself in a completely different way. You are not a forward anymore, Kai Havertz. You can be so much more, but you have to understand that I think the position that you thought you were going to be is just not that.
Yeah. Damn, dude. That's
crazy. It's crazy, bro.
It's crazy with the type of conversation this dude draws up, bro. Good Lord, man.
Yeah. And just a final takeaway on this game, man. So... I think if you've been watching Premier League football, anybody, we've noticed that they've employed the same FIFA tactics as far as how the end of the games have gone by having extended stoppage time. We're seeing 7, 8, 10-minute stoppages. And I was thinking about it today because obviously we saw it for the first time at the 2022 World Cup. Mm-hmm. It was a whole thing. It ended up just adding so much more drama, which honestly I liked.
I loved it.
And what I realized today with Arsenal getting the go-ahead goal in late stoppage time.
96 minutes.
Yeah. I realized it's actually the perfect way to try to settle a draw. I don't like draws, bro. I know it's a part of football. It is what it is. If no one's better than the other, I think draw is fair. You add 10 minutes to the end of a game. It's like a mini extra time.
Yeah.
It's so cool because if a team thinks they can get it, well, now you don't have 3-4 minutes. You have 10. That's plenty of time to build a little bit of momentum, brew some chaos, and get a goal. And I think we're already seeing it in the Prem. We saw it at the World Cup, bro.
Are we going to see more game winners?
I think so.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham with Real Madrid.
Exactly,
Arsenal
bro.
Right now. Dude, yeah.
And I'm so for it, though, because it's exactly that. Instead of going to penalties or having a full 30 minutes, just add 10. If you want it, go for it. If you don't want it, all right, well, then don't go for it. But it's there. And you can go to the flip side, United's perspective. You had a bad game today. You're lucky it's 1-1. If you want to keep this draw, fight for it. It's so cool, man. And it made me think about just even broader perspective. Low key, and as much corruption as there is, FIFA don't miss when they add rules.
They're pretty good with it.
They're so good.
And I'm already seeing it with what they did at the Women's World Cup, miking up the referees so that when they come back from their VAR decisions, you can hear what they're saying vocally. I was like, man, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, bro. Like,
yes,
there's no question, there's no controversy about that simple little addition.
No controversy.
It's representative of just overall the goal line technology they implemented. Yes. VAR. I mean, VAR has been the most controversial one, but even now, I can't imagine a game without VAR.
No, I need VAR. I need it, bro. And that's the thing. Yes, FIFA just doesn't miss when they change or add to the rules of the game. And I'm just like, dude, whatever they're doing behind the scenes, whatever scientists they have thinking about how to constantly advance the game, they're doing such a good job.
That one gets me, though, because I never really thought about it.
I know.
Like, that wasn't like a prominent thing that needed to be changed or switched or just adjusted. They just did it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fuck it, I'm down for it during the World Cup. I came to learn that I actually really liked it. And now that these leagues are picking it up, dude, we're seeing amazing moments be generated out of it. And I'm all for it too as well, man. You got me hyped. Yeah. You got me hyped. I'm all for it. People want to know, man. Joao Felix to Barcelona. A crazy story that you became a part of 4 years ago. 120 million euros acquired from Benfica to Atletico Madrid. The most expensive signing in Atletico Madrid's history. A crazy, dramatic 4 years followed that. And we see Joao Felix now be loaned out to Barcelona. But it's not about the title of a loan. It's about the emotion behind it for Joao.
Yeah.
The fact that it became very clear and obvious that he wanted that move.
Right.
Reminiscent of the saga that we saw with Griezmann at one point. The difference, that one actually took 2-3 years to actually happen. This one was almost by force. Joao sees himself leave Atletico Madrid and go over to Barcelona. Your thoughts?
I don't have much to say here. Joao Felix, from the moment he opened his mouth this summer, I looked the other way because I knew he wasn't a colchonero. He never bought into Simeone's tactics. I think honestly, since day one, there was always that question: can Felix be as offensive as he was at Benfica under a tactician like Diego Simeone? That was a conversation going into the club. I think it got to his head. He started to believe that there was discourse, and then I think he manifested that out, and it just never worked. There's never been really a spell of over 2-3 weeks where Felix looked good for Atletico. Super spotty throughout his entire career here in Spain or in Madrid. And yeah, I mean, good riddance, honestly. Like, I'm glad to have him gone. I hope after this loan he doesn't really come back. I hope that we just ship him off, we get some money. Because, yeah, he just never bought into it, bro. And if you're not going to buy into Atletico, then what are you doing here?
That's a team you got to buy into.
Yeah, you got to buy into it, bro. You got to. If you don't want it, then get out. You know, and I think he realized that this summer. Good for him. But yeah, I don't want him to be a part of my club no more. I just don't, and he's dead to me essentially. Yeah.
But I think ultimately, do you concede that this was a miss from Atletico's board?
Well, if you think about it, not even from Atletico. If you think about it, like biggest busts over the last 10 years, Felix got to be top 10 maybe. Just because of the price tag. He costs the same as Jack Grealish.
I think even more, man.
A little more.
20 that's Caicedo money, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So you do that comparison, Felix is nothing.
You don't think there's more for him to give to produce out the do you think he's reached his peak?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
I even so much so that it's not even about him working out at Atletico. I don't know if Felix is actually that good.
You don't think he's that good?
Right. Very good on the ball. Has great ideas. He can be inventive. But I don't think Felix can produce on a consistent basis. Not at the highest level. Take him back to Portugal, sure, I think he could score 20, 25 goals a season. Why not? But when you start getting top 5 territory, Felix can be good, and obviously he can fit in with anybody. But if you're asking him to assist, if you're asking him to score, I don't know if Felix can do it at any of the highest levels.
Disappointing.
But, yeah, it's just disappointing, right? Yeah. So Felix, just how it is.
The hope is that let's see how much Atletico can get for him. If they can bamboozle somebody in the market, bro.
Right. Honestly,
if they can even get half of that back.
If I could get 50 for him.
That's a dub.
That's a dub, bro. And I'd be very happy with that. I think he could be a $50 million player. He has incredible technique. So I think we could, in today's inflated market, I think we could send money. I just get excited because if we can, then hopefully we can just get some sort of solidity in an offensive position by buying somebody, man. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my whole hope here. Maybe next year in the offseason, we actually purchase a good offensive player. Quickfire? There's a little quickfire results that I kind of want to just mention.
Oh, yeah.
Brighton, Newcastle.
Ferguson.
Crazy result, man. Yeah. Crazy result. Just very quickly, Brighton. I'm going to say this every time they win by a large margin. I can't believe they're still this good.
Yeah.
Cannot believe it. Yeah. Such a well-run club. What's even crazier, with the inclusion of Ansu Fati, that's going to be phenomenal. If João Pedro was a little bit better, they would be just as good as when they had Trossard and Caicedo.
Yeah.
It's crazy how well they've been able to fill in the holes that have left Brighton, and immediately too. But it's taken a club like Manchester United a decade to fill some of their holes, man.
Yeah.
Brighton are doing it over one singular offseason. It's so impressive. Newcastle, on the other hand, it's like the opposite story. Like, they can't find the consistency that they had last year. And I think that's just more testament to how good Brighton is from an identity perspective, because they have one way to play. It's beautiful and it's incredibly effective, man.
Brighton, dude. The standout was Ferguson. My question regarding him is, people are already posting like, oh, how much is Brighton gonna sell him for? Right, 18 years old from Ireland, playing at a crazy rate. But I saw a comment just in some Twitter thread actually make a really great point. He said, at this point, why would Brighton sell him, especially with what they're building, what they're becoming now within not just the Prem, but world football, getting Ansu Fati. At some point, they're going to make the jump from being where they are right now to being a club that doesn't sell, but buys and brings in players. When will we see that transition happen? It didn't happen this past offseason, right, with McAllister and Caicedo leaving. But at some point, if they continue this level of success, I think they'll be able to have the funds to securely be able to handle the wages of a guy like Evan Ferguson and have him for 7 years, perhaps. Like, it could start with him. So I'm interested to see with Evan Ferguson specifically, do they end up selling him, or is he like the poster boy for the future of Brighton and them eventually becoming like a top 6 club in England?
Dude, that's a crazy thing to say, because if Brighton end up becoming a buying club, they will have done something that I don't know if any club has ever done.
Yeah. To
completely change the history of a club that they are without huge investment from like oil money.
Yeah.
That would be crazy, and I don't even know if we'd ever see anything like it again. Oh my God, that's crazy, because like,
anomaly.
You look at Benfica, their whole wall, their whole hurdle, and why they can't be a big spending club is the league that they play in, right? Brighton are in the best league in the world, and they're also in the most lucrative league in the world, football-wise. So if they can find a point where they're actually bringing in more money than they are spending, then yeah, they could make that transition.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've
For
never
me,
seen a team do it.
That's the thing. I feel like history in football is so powerful that, if you just are a selling club, it might be all you ever will be. But if Brighton can change that, that'd be nuts. Hey, Europa League this year.
Yes.
Europa League.
Start with that.
Come on, man. Go make a deep run in that would be nuts, bro. It'd be nuts.
It's got to be a Liverpool-Brighton final, man.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Let's keep it
English.
Let's keep it English, bro.
Quick fire. Flamengo Botafogo happened in Botafogo Stadium. This is a team that had a 12-point lead, I believe, at the time.
Okay.
Chiquinho Suarez finally coming back from injury. He was out for like 3 weeks. I was worried about how Botafogo would handle that. They got knocked out of the Copa Sudamericana by Defensa y Justicia, so they're focusing in on the league.
Yeah.
Flamengo comes into town, and they win.
Okay.
2-1. Bruno Enrique with a beautiful outside-the-box banger makes it 2-1. Giving Palmeiras, who's in second place, the opportunity to cut the lead down to single digits. But they ended up tying against Corinthians today. So 0-0 result. Botafogo ends up being just fine. Let's keep it in South America. Copa Libertadores semifinals have been set. I am on the fucking ropes, my friend.
What is it?
I made a bold statement a while back for context, and that no Brazilian team would lift the Copa Libertadores trophy this time around, despite their dominance in recent years. Brother, we have 3 Brazilian teams in the semifinals and only 1 non-Brazilian team. The first semifinal is Fluminense against Internacional, both from Brazil. And then Palmeiras against the last shining light, Boca Juniors.
Boca, bro. Okay.
Those are the situations. That's what's at stake. I need Boca to beat the second best team in Brazil right now, and then to beat another Brazilian team yet again in the final. Otherwise, bro, shambolic take for me.
Right.
That's what's at stake.
We'll see. We'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
Yeah.
Boca have a chance. They have a chance.
They always have a chance.
Yeah.
They always have a chance, and it'd be nice if they could come through for me in this situation.
Juarez, joint top of the table, at least going into the shoot. Atletico San Luis also having a really, really good season. But Juarez, bro.
Yeah.
I've been wondering if they would be able to crack into top 4, top 5 in Liga MX. And I think they finally found some joy. They played against Mazatlan this past weekend, and dude, they scored some bangers. Absolute bangers. Standout player that I want to highlight, they just got this new player from Colombia, Diego Valois. Dude's good, man. He's really, really good. Reminds me of kind of like a Leo Fernandez, the ex-Toluca player. Diminutive style. Very good, very quick on the ball, more of a creator, facilitator type player. I think the difference between him and Fernandez is I think Valois is actually more of a passer, right? Fernandez was always really eager to just penetrate and go at teams, but I think Valois is actually low-key a little smarter with his decision-making and maybe even a little bit more precise with his passing. So Valois actually might end up really putting Juarez into that upper echelon of having a chance of having a good run this year in Apertura.
Seeing Juarez lift a Liga MX title.
It'd be crazy.
That'd be one of the crazy results in the past 10 years, bro.
Yeah.
That'd be a historic result.
It'd be historic, man. I just, it was at Juarez. Wish they had more people who cared. Napoli played Lazio as well this past weekend. In Napoli, Lazio get the win 2-1.
That's nuts.
Nuts, because Lazio played last week. I saw them play. They were terrible. Did not play well. It's Lazio is so inconsistent, especially last year. Managed to get a top 4 finish, and it's because of performances like this where they just go off all of a sudden. Not that Napoli played bad, but Lazio's second goal to take the lead, Luis Alberto, with a filthy, dirty little back flick finish, bro. I encourage everybody to go see it. It's just filth, pure filth, man. And Luis Alberto, the painter, the artist, the creator, what do you want to call the craftsman, the carpenter? Like, he's doing some beautiful things out there for Lazio. And they end up getting the win. Napoli, I've seen a couple of their games this season so far. I think they'll definitely have what it takes to defend their title. I think it's going to be much harder this year, though, because of both Milan sides. And then you still have some mid-tier teams like Lazio and honestly Juventus as well, who can honestly make a top 4 case, bro.
And they just went on a crazy run for like 20 games last year, and by the end of it, they were already like 15 points clear.
It was one.
That's not happening this year, bro.
It's not happening.
I don't care how well they play. Felipe Anderson. I can't believe he's still on this Lazio team at 32 years old. It feels like he's been there forever, man, and he's still a prominent part of the team. I think he had a couple assists in that match, dude.
Oh, yeah, no. Felipe Anderson is one of the most interesting cases of a footballer because he's only good at Lazio. He tried leaving. I think he went to Porto. When Porto actually made a deep run in the Champions League, dude, he was on the bench, never played. Isn't that crazy? Like, Porto had that talent to utilize, but he wasn't good enough to get in that 11. Yeah. But when he goes to Lazio, he's their star player alongside Luis Alberto, and he's starting every single match. So bizarre. But yeah, Felipe Anderson is Lazio and Lazio only.
Is Castellanos getting any minutes?
He does. Yeah. So he does, but it is minimal, man. Dude. And I forgot. And here's why. So Lazio only play one striker, as most teams do, right? Here's the thing. Their one striker that they play, one of the most historic Italian strikers right now, Ciro Immobile. And if you're any coach, if you're Italian, you put Immobile up against Tati Castellanos, you're just going to go with the name. And Immobile is deserved there, bro. I mean, he's one of the best goal scorers in Serie A. And he has the talent to be very, very consistent, be very lethal in front of goal. So I get it. I just wish they tried Castellanos just a little bit more because in the few minutes that he comes on, he's eager. Like, he's going at it already. But, dude, he's getting max 5 minutes a game. Max.
Yeah, it'll be a long journey then.
It's going to be a long journey.
It's going to be a second half of the season type of player.
Yeah, what it's going to take is Immobile is going to have to go cold. Like, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. He might not score for 5 games, and he's still going to start. Immobile is going to have to go on a huge drought for Castellanos to start getting meaningful minutes. Either that or Immobile gets injured or something. That's the only way.
Yeah. Let's do Germany real quick. Bayern Munich going down to Borussia Mönchengladbach 1-0, coming back, winning that game 2-1. Bundesliga is getting weaker, bro.
Yeah.
It's getting weaker. Leipzig lost just crucial pieces. Nkunku, Gvardiol, Soboslai. I mean, come on, man. They have incredible talent.
Yeah.
And although they have Xavi Simons already popping off for him, 3 goals, 2 assists in the season so far, they're not going to have what they used to have in prior years. And I think that's going to show this year. So I think they're dropping in quality. A team like Freiburg was challenging for top 4, top 5 last year, losing players like Mark Flecken, going to, what was it, fucking Bournemouth or some shit? Some Premier League side? Brentford. And losing players overall this transfer window, and I didn't see enough from them in terms of reinforcement that I think will end up benefiting them this season. They're already off to a somewhat cold start. And the biggest challenger, Dortmund, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
They've grown a lot weaker this year. Yeah. They will not be challenging for the title, in my opinion. If there's one team that has even the smallest sliver of opportunity, it's going to be the German team that I essentially pledged my allegiance to last year with their run in the Europa League. Bayer Leverkusen leads the table right now in the Bundesliga, winning all 3 games that they've had so far. Signing Victor Boniface, 4 goals, 2 assists already from Union St. Gilloise. Yeah. Playing incredible football, bro. Nigeria has some insane talent up front to pair alongside him, and guys like Osimhen and what's the guy from Nottingham Forest? Adebayo? Awoni. They have some incredible talents, and Victor Boniface is showing why.
Yeah.
And then what I love about what Bayer Leverkusen has done so far, because they defeated Darmstadt yesterday 5-1. Like, they absolutely killed them. Nice. Is that despite them losing a guy like Moussa Diaby, who's like a big offensive force for him, they still have a lot of talent that can just kind of replace them almost. Guys like Frimpong, Florian Wirtz, Palacios, the Argentine, Xhaka. Granit Xhaka has already made himself at home there, having 3 amazing performances. Spaniard Grimaldo coming from Benfica, joining this team as well. And then Jonas Hoffmann from Borussia Mönchengladbach joining the team too. They got some reinforcements, man. And I'm just saying, keep an eye on Bayer Leverkusen to see if they can do something special.